And there's no rapture. Here we have Mars. "54th class of 72 University. X. Moses continues. We're going to Leviticus. 16. Can you say Leviticus or Leviticus? In this case, it doesn't matter. The Lord spoke to Moses after the two sons of Aaron died, for they had approached the manifestation of the Creator. So two sons of Aaron died because. See? Is God good all the time? God is just. It's a contract. Sons of the priest. Ah, of the priest. Did they do wrong? There's no privilege. Is there? They died. It was said to Moses, tell your brother, Aaron, that his sons died for entering the place. Exclusive secret. Separated for this reason by a veil. Wasn't there a veil? What is the veil saying? How do we jump the fence? Jump the fence, you know you might get shot. Arrowed. Isn't it? If there's a veil, the veil is a fence. What is the veil saying? Don't go. But the little rebels, right? There, and in front of the lid of the ark, above the ark, which levitates, are still my UFO manifestations. With high radiation, an electromagnetic quantum field, where not only your children, but you, Aaron, could also die if you enter without protection and at the wrong time. This is very technological. It's astrology. It's NASA. It's SpaceX. Here it's God Electron. Who watched the series God Electron? Proper attire is necessary, like an astronaut, as seen in the series God and Electron, to access the Ark. And we see this in the subsequent verses. Great reveal, and now we move on to Baphomet, Azazel. Baphomet would soften to be a dual androgynous being. It was ordained by the Creator in the times of the first contract rituals. See? Tell Aaron. This is the Bible. That he will receive from the people of Israel 2 goats as a pledge for the people's crimes, a bull and a ram as atonement, pledge as a reminder of the contract in gratitude. So, what do the people of the religious system, with their very small minds, do? They only want God, the white dove. Everything that is a white dove, little lamb, is God. Goat is not God, raven is not God. But the same one who sent the dove, the same one who sent the dove is the same one who sent the raven. Isn't that right? How many times has God used the raven to help prophets? And it wasn't the dove. And the serpent? And the owl? All animals belong to the Creator. So, the churches. This comes from the low Middle Ages, then the high Middle Ages, creating this ridiculous idea that still permeates today in the minds of the ignorant. Involved that God is just one thing. The other thing, I don't know. It seems like he left another god to do it, or called the devil to do it. It seems that the monstrous beings, not so pretty, were not called by us. Do you feel sorry for the ant? Put the ant under a microscope and you won't feel sorry for it anymore. Because it has the face of the devils that the churches draw. Oh, little creature, ugly. Scary, right? It has horns and everything. It's just that when you see it from afar, it seems so cute. Little sugar ant, look. How cute. Put a microscope on it. Tell Aaron that he will receive from the people of Israel 2 goats as a pledge for the people's crimes, a bull and a lamb as atonement, pledge as a reminder of the contract in gratitude. For God's sake, learn. The same God who makes Noah send a raven sends a dove. The same God who makes Aaron offer a lamb, offer a goat. The lamb you want, the goat you don't. Look, There. Reveal. In your Bible, you read offering, but it is bail, payment of a prison debt for having committed a crime. Sin here, in the original, is crime, offense, because many people have violated the Creator's code of criminal procedure. And the fine is the life of one? Did you learn? What is the goat? Azazel, Azazel? Is the fine the life of one? Just don't make a mistake. Just don't commit a crime. Offering, bail. Sin, crime. Law, constitution with codes of laws. I will put it here again for you to learn. What is an offering? What is sin? Crime. What is law? Constitution with a code of law. And who is Moses? Lawyer and judge of the people, with the autograph of the people and the autograph of the Creator. So, Delta, animals 3, lamb. To be able to access the exclusive high-tech place of Elohim. A bull, for your mistakes and your family. Is it signed or not, is it? 3 animals, 3 types of animals, and the 2 goats of the tent of meeting. And it says, and you shall cast lots for the 2 goats. One for good and the other for Azazel, the evil. Is God dual or not, is he? But of course, that's impossible. Now, what sermon in which church are you going to see? Which mass is the priest going to read? Leviticus 16? Tell me. Which pastor is going to preach? Leviticus 16? Tell me. They're not going to, right? Those who violated the Constitution should die, but they will be forgiven by the death of an animal. For the criminals, Aaron will bring the goat, whose lot fell for the good, Adonai, and he will sacrifice it with the plea for forgiveness for the crimes and legal infractions of the contract. Aaron will bring the goat, whose lot fell for the bad, Azazel. And this one will be presented alive to the Creator as a ransom. Propitiation is ransom. What is propitiation? And it will be sent afterward to the desert. Aaron must take the censer full of coals from the altar and 2 handfuls of fragrant powdered incense, and bring them behind the veil before my euphological manifestation. The smoke of the incense will then cover the protective and security laid over the quantum emerald cube with the contract, and then he will not die. Before we reach the illuminator, I will make it clear. In a few essential analyses of the Old Testament that we've done here, we've already seen God saying, take virgin stones and make an altar for me to offer sacrifice. If you did that today, it would be considered Satanism, witchcraft. But it was God who commanded it. Do I need to talk about the goat, the raven? Do I need to talk about the sprinkled and poured blood? Throwing blood on people at the time of the contract. To seal a contract, throwing blood on people, do I need to say it? Do I need to say here that there is aromatic incense in powder form? Not even that. Today, Christians endure. Because even aromatic incense is considered evil to them. What level are the churches at, right? They are completely unaware of the Creator. Illuminaire. See, the smoke from this artificial incense replaces the UFO manifestation over the ark, protecting Aaron's life. Look at this. Then he will pass a bit of the bull's blood with his finger on the front of the cover. And then again with his finger, he will pass the blood 7 times in front of the cover. Then He will sacrifice the goat of atonement for the people's crimes and bring the blood behind the veil. Then he will do the same on the ox cover with the goat's blood. He will do the same in the tent of meeting, which is the tent between me, the Creator, and the people. I mean, look at this situation. What is this, people? Let's go reveal it. I saw these things when I was a child, a teenager, I would say. What's happening with that? And now? I saw these things and there was nothing in the church that explained it. And the environment we live in, those who are there. Born, raised, brought up in a church, it's an environment. Completely opposed to everything that God truly is. And it's unbelievable because everyone has a Bible in their hand, in the car, at home. How do people have a Bible and not understand God? Explain that to me. And the most incredible thing, they use the Bible to condemn us. Not at all. Just sit down with your family and say, let's read Deuteronomy 14 to study the original tithe, which we will study shortly. Let's all read together. Deuteronomy 28. You can't do it. Ask for an opportunity at a church near your home. Turn on a camera. Ask someone to record. Film it there and send it to the program here. Go to their altar. Take the microphone and say, I just want to read Deuteronomy 28 in full with you. Can I? I'm not going to say anything. I'll just read Deuteronomy. You can't do it. Whether it's Leviticus 16, Deuteronomy 28. I challenge you to finish reading this in a church. Take the challenge. Go ahead. Go ahead. Delta people, tent of meeting and exclusive. Special place. Highly technological. Then he will take a little of the blood of the bull and the blood of the goat and put it on all the horns of the altar. Yad ki tav hi. The horns. Yad ki kubo. 7 times. Signed or not? No. To understand why the blood, you will have to watch the series God and Letter. Today, when we watch a series like Dark, we understand the issue today. Nuclear. Of the nuclear plants. Isn't it? From the United States, Ukraine, Russia. And these nuclear plants, they have the secret, special, exclusive place that you can't go beyond. To go beyond, you have to have special clothing. Today we understand this, don't we? Today. When Aaron finishes, then he will bring it to the public. The living power will place both hands on the head of the live goat and will read all the crimes of the people, those who broke the contract. And all of this will remain on the head of the goat, symbolizing the conscience and the bad sex. Where does it stay? On the head of the goat. Why does it stay on the head of the goat? Symbolizing your head, your mind, your psyche. But not all of it, just its left side. Then he will send the goat into the desert under the care of a man designated for this. The power will take with it all their crimes to a solitary place. And the man will release the power in the desert for my sextra. There. Revealed. And from dextra to dextra, from sextra to sextra in the desert, as mentioned in Matthew 4 and Luke 4, where Jesus faces his ego, his left side. And what do we have here? The ultimate representation of this. See, the man was responsible for taking the goat to Azazel, the left side of the High Creator. Some people think it's for the devil. He will take his clothes with water. He will wash, and then he can enter the camp. First, he has to wash. Because why? radioactivity, electromagnetism, the power of God. God is all-powerful. You don't even know what the power of God is. You don't even know what power is. To understand what power is, you will have to learn about wavelength. You will have to learn the basic notions of 7 colors, 7 geometric shapes. We will get there to the extra-biblical degrees. You have to understand just a little, the minimum of quantum, the minimum. Because then you start to know that the power of God is in the waves. It is the waves that carry the voice. It is the waves that carry data, that carry images, that carry thoughts, that enable telepathy, that enable teleportation. It is the waves, and the name for this is the power of God. Power of God. Power of God is teleportation. Power of God is telepathy. Power of God. Now, even if Azazel were the Satan of the churches, it is God who is asking to take the goat to Azazel. It's even worse, because if the figure of Satan existed, here God is asking, go there, and give the goat to Satan. Offer it every year. Go there and worship Satan. Make the sacrifice to him. Because if it exists, here, look, it's the text here. Your Bible. In 2 ways, if the figure of the devil exists independently, individually, God is asking to take a goat to him. Offering to him, making a sacrifice to him. Do you see? Is it serious or not? Is it? And then we have a movement today by Pastor Paul Washer. His counterpart here in Brazil, which is Paulo Jr., and others who preach exactly this, the return to the law. We have to obey the Old Testament because that is holiness. Oh, really? Oh, really? Obey this here. Oh, we have to go back to obeying the Old Testament? Do this here, my son. Oh, no, this here is from Satan. Oh, you. See, what deception? This is a decree for all Israelites until the end of the first contract. Until, when does this go? Until the end of the first contract. So, when you follow a church with the broken tablet of the law, if you still follow the first tablet, you are under a contract that has already ended. And you should still be offering 2 goats, taking them to Azazel. On the 10th day of the 7th month, they will humble themselves, overcoming the ego. This will be a Sabbath for you, as it rests the conscience for having your crimes forgiven. Thus, it will be every year, as long as the first contract lasts, once a year. On the day 10 of the 7th month, Leviticus 16 from 1 to 34. Until when? So, if you do not validate the death of Jesus, which is truly the gospel, which is truly the grace of God, you have to keep doing this here. Your church is wrong. You only have 2 paths. Accept the second contract of the grace of Jesus, or continue following this here. This ritualistic festival of the first contract is performed by the Israeli community on Yom Kippur. The name Azazel appears 3 times in the originals. It is present in Zionist Freemasonry with the secret Yom Kippur ritual. That is, they understand. They know what this is. Now, and you? You need to understand. Now, who understands? We understand. But who understands? Who can understand? Reveal it. So, Selma, listen and learn. I am teaching. Listen and learn. To understand a lot about breath analysis, you have to watch the Mossad series. Ancient manuscripts reveal that Azazel is the sextra manifestation of the Creator in Genesis 6, which manifested, which generated the Nephilim when it created confusion in Genesis 11. All of this proves the duality of the Creator, which the religious system does not know, does not want, or cannot. Or cannot. Now indeed, complete, or cannot. Reveal. And that is the prefix. Ezabad. El, Elohim, Azael, on the other side. Look, this, folks. What is Ease? Deut. What is El? God. What is Azael? On the other side. The other side of Elohim. What is the meaning of Azazel? The other side of God. A good goat. And a bad goat. A female goat. Female. A female goat. And a male goat. One Cain and the other Abel. One Esau and the other Jacob. And why Azazel? Why Azazel goat? On the other side of Elohim, is it Baphomet? Now let's understand what Baphomet is. The prefix, BAPH, means baptism. Baptism. And Metis means Sophia, wisdom. The word Baphomet in Hebrew, actually, is Bit-P-Vav Mentev. Bit-P-Vav Mentev. What do we have here? Kabbalistic coding of the sacred Hebrew letters. Yes, Vav Yad Aleph. Incredible, but it's just. It's the spelling of the word. Wisdom, philosophy, Sophia, Greek. So, actually, Kabbalistically speaking, it's the simple coding of wisdom. But why is wisdom a goat? Why did God ask for 2 goats for wisdom? Why? Because to understand God, you have to understand good and evil. Without understanding good and evil, you will never know who God is, nor how existence works. It's hard, it's difficult to accept the truth as it is. Man's ego is revealed when scrutinized in public. It is in the desert worship that the ego must die. Send your extra ego to the desert and stop caring about what is said and thought. For the Christian who still has an ego is already condemned. We are already in the second covenant. There is no more Baal. There is no more propitiation. Delta, months after the Israelites were freed from slavery in Egypt, they arrived at the Sinai Desert, Exo 19.1, and now we will move on to the topic of the original tithe. But first, see the wonderful meaning of affirmate. Baptism of wisdom. Introduction to wisdom. And Azazel, the other side of God.
Professor,
Yes.
this which the professor just explained about Baal reminds me of yesterday's class that talked about a process that expires. And that we also see the process. And lend me because I don't know anymore. That does not prescribe the crimes against humanity, but they are processes that are not subject to a statute of limitations and are not bailable. And today the professor talks about Baal, that there is no more Baal.
The connection. Professor Paulo understood this. We saw this in Hebrews 10, that there is no more Baal, no more payment. This is sad because you go to churches, grace, 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 grace. But they don't know that grace is God's payment, which, number one, invalidates the pastor and the priest's right to charge you because it has already been paid. And number two, most importantly, if it is grace, we cannot go into debt again. In other words, it's over. Honor the Lord your God forever. It's over. Do you understand this? Wonderful. The original tithe. Shall we move on to another problematic topic? Not for us, right? If you obey the contract I propose, you will be the only nation to have my high technology and science. Treasure. According to Leviticus 27 verse 34, the contract, intended only for Israelites, includes the separation of 10% of everything the land produced for Elohim. As seen in the verses 30-33. Therefore, all the Levites, astronauts of divine science, would receive these 10% of everything the land produced, as recorded in Numbers 18. Illuminate the Creator's exclusive contract and includes exclusive portions of everything the earth produces, making it clear that exclusivity is the great responsibility of Israel. Benefit? Exclusivity. Drawback? Exclusivity. Exclusivity has its price. Everyone wants to be holy. Holiness has a price. After presenting to Adam, you Levites may eat from this portion anywhere, for it is the wage for your work. In the tent of meeting, by presenting this 1% as an example to the people, you will not break the contract and you will not die. It's simple, right? Stay in line. Don't die. Number 18. V. It is to be eaten after presenting. So, the goal was not to get rich. It was to be loyal to the contract. Because what is the Torah? The purpose of the Torah is the coexistence of foreigners passing through the city, the nation, of people who have no social support, like in those times, widows and orphans. Today it's a different reality. Today, there are other disadvantaged groups who need social assistance. And the working people, the working class. This coexistence between tourists. Pay attention, tourists, or immigrants. What is a foreigner? It's the immigrant. Whether it's the immigrant or the tourist or the working class, in other words, those who need help. All of these needed a constitution to exist. Do you see? So, what is God taking care of here? You have to remember the principle. Those who have more, who produce more, separate Marcel. Separate, Marcel. 10% of everything the land produced, bring to the Levites to be distributed. Stored in barns, it's a lot of work. Like arks. Imagine you gave work to animals in the ark. Imagine animals in barns. Immense barns, immense, to feed 1, 2, 3 million Hebrews. Most of the Hebrews had their own food. But only those who were dependent. Let's imagine it was 10%. 20% of the society. How much food? How many grains? You know, grains stored in bags attract pests. They attract rats, cockroaches, or any kind of plague. You had to be maintaining this. The Levites had a lot of work to do. Taking care of these animals, cleaning, washing these animals, tending to the sick animals to prevent this from spreading to others, burying the animals that died, or separating them to avoid contaminating the others. Feces, urine. Animals that were unwell got sick. So it's a lot of work, folks. Imagine it's a lot of work. Tithing, a lot of work. All this to feed everyone, so that everyone has food, sustenance, the basics, what to eat, what to wear, where to sleep, social subsistence. So that was the goal. So what is God trying to say? If you are very far away, go there, present, 1% and eat. But why do this if I'm not there? If I'm not there, there's no reason to give my money, the product of my land, or my animal, to the Levites. It doesn't make sense. God wanted you to do this so you would always remember the foe. You don't have the right to do the opposite. You and your ego. Listen to one thing. You don't have the right. Even if you are far away. Even if you can't bring it. You don't have the right. You will separate present and eat. But what's the point? Just to prove that you are obeying the contract of the whole. To show your understanding. Understanding of coexistence, of society, of everything. Do you understand? The intention is to show that you are truly accountable. How would I say it? Committed. You are committed to the social law to the whole. Isn't it incredible? And what did the churches turn this into? What did they turn this law into? Into tithing. Monthly. Okay, the salary is monthly. To give to the church, which today are the Levites, but which has no purpose of social equality and social coexistence. Their purpose is to increase the number of branches, spread that denomination in more and more cities, pay more and more pastors, priests, in the name of evangelization, mission. But it has completely lost its meaning. First, because this is for Israel, not for us. And second, if we were to observe this, since we like, out of insistence and rebellion, to continue beyond grace on the broken tablet, they are not even good for that. Because they are not even good at following the Old Testament properly. Because if they wanted to obey the broken tablet, they would have to use the tithe for social equality. If they did that, we wouldn't even say much. We would just say, there's no reason for them to do that. That's not how it is. And when we saw there, Acts 2 and onward, the church, which is the new Israel, they sold properties that were just sitting there, like farms, estates, and used real estate, land, and brought them to the apostles' feet. Why? To distribute among people who were starving and had nowhere to live, what to eat. In other words, the tithe continued, but no longer under the name of tithe. You won't see tithe in Acts 2, nor 3, nor 4, nor 5. There is no tithe in any part of the New Testament, because it was no longer a tithe. It was the understanding of what a tithe is, and that's what needs to remain in us. Don't think that now you've left, the money is all yours. Your money belongs to the coexistence of people, the whole. You have to think about the whole. You still have to think about the whole. You don't have the right. If you belong to the body and want to go to the kingdom, you don't have the right to accumulate wealth, multiple lands, multiple houses, multiple assets, if you don't think about the whole, except if all of this is involved. A spouse is involved, family. You don't have full authority over that. But if you have full authority over that, if you and your spouse have full authority, you can't. It doesn't make sense. How can Professor Akel, who teaches the truth, who understood Marcello in the original, have 16 plots of land? Or like Bolsonaro having 150 properties? Tell me, for what purpose? Does it make sense? Have your little house the way you like it, and let it not be a house with 50 rooms. Unless you turn it into a hotel, unless you have many employees, a company. But you have to live the meaning. So people say, unchurched, it's all over. I don't give money to pastors, to scoundrels anymore. If this teacher here starts too, I'm out. But the tithe continues, it always continues. The understanding of the original tithe. The understanding is not 10%. What is God's understanding? That everyone lives in equality. It's not the equality of communism, of socialism. Let's divide everything. Everyone will have the same value. It's not possible because people have different skills, different backgrounds, different commitment. And then it wouldn't be justice either. What kind of equality is it where one works, feeds, and supports the other who doesn't work? That's injustice. And that's why the right is coming back in the world, because the left came with communism and socialism and failed. Because it came to say the following: a portion for each, all equal. Equal portion if the work were equal. In the kingdom, it will work because there will be justice. Everyone has overcome their ego. But here, how are you going to give the same portion to everyone if the endeavor is different? How am I going to divide? The same allowance, sponsorship, for 10 children, 10 students equally. If 3 students work for the 7, I have 10 children. I give 1,000 raise to each one. I give 10,000 to each one. But only 3 produce, only 3 help me. Only 3 take initiative. The other 7 stand still, waiting for help. Does that make sense? Is that fair? Then equality becomes a burden. Equality becomes a lie.
Amen. Professor, we remember the parable of the 10 talents.
So what I'm telling you is to help socially disadvantaged people temporarily who need you to lend a hand to lift them up, and not to support that person forever. You help the person who is injured, because if you don't help, they die. That's the meaning of the Good Samaritan. That Samaritan who helped that beaten Jew. He helped and then went on his way. He didn't say, look, from today on, I'm going to pay you a salary for the rest of your life. Is that it? Is that it? So you lend a hand to lift the person up. You see? So you have to understand why God made things. Do you know why teenagers are so annoying with their parents and obeying at home? Because they never understood why there is that rule at home. Do you know what's really missing for teachers, for parents, for people? Do you know what's really missing? Explaining, knowing how to teach, instructing, so that the law doesn't turn into Torah. I'll explain to you. If someone comes to people and says, this is the rule, and doesn't explain, the law ceases to be teaching. The law in the original is teaching instruction. It's up to those who create rules to explain why. To teach people why. The government has to do this. School teachers have to do this. Spiritual teachers, spiritual leadership have to do this. Parents need to do this. It's not just about going to your child and saying you can't. Why? You know why the professor and I are doing this in a university meeting. It's because we're instructing and teaching you rules that you've obeyed your whole life, which you never understood why. And that's why you got tired. That's why you left the church, because they obeyed what they didn't even understand. What I'm doing is instructing and teaching you why these rules exist. What is God's purpose from the beginning, from the start, in creating the tithe? If you never understood the purpose, then you'll be one of those people who goes on Facebook saying, tithing is death. Or then another says, tithing is law. You can see in a discussion chat, one person comes and says, tithing is theft. I give money to the pastor. Mercenary, greedy dog. No. Then another says, tithing is the Bible. It's law. It's a commandment. I mean, both are wrong. 2. Dogs barking. Words in the wind. Meaningless. The 2 did not understand the purpose of the tithe. The tithe has a purpose. If the tithe were taken seriously, Winston, see Ivanildo, rate Vladimir. If it were taken seriously, Sonia, the world would have no problems. Jesus wouldn't even come down to kill, just to reign. God wouldn't even need to pass judgment. Final. Need to pass judgment. In no wire. Final judgment. The people understood Marcelo if the people understood the concept of the time. As I have now an exclusive contract with you, your identities must be exclusive, different from the other 71 nations. That is, you need to be exclusive. Oh, how beautiful. God is exclusive, man. He is only ours. I am Jewish. He is only ours. He is mine. My father, my father. If you want God to be exclusive to you, look at the price. You need to be exclusive to him. Oh. Reveal. And then it says, do not make cuts, Deuteronomy 14. Shall we face Deuteronomy 14? Do not make cuts on the body or shave the front of the head for the gods. You don't need to because you have me in Lorem. Then there are people who use these things to say you can't get tattoos. My God, what is? The text saying, I want you to be different from other nations. The others cut themselves for the gods. It's not talking about tattoos, but about people who cut themselves in worship to the gods. And even today, you know, there are Afro religions where you have to cut yourself for the orixes. We respect that, but it's unnecessary. Like animals that I designated with a split hoof. Loven, with 2 hooves, and that chew the cud, except for the camel, the rabbit, and the wild rat, because they chew the cud, but do not have split hooves. The pig has a split hoof, but does not chew the cud. Eat all the creatures of the waters, but you may not eat any creature that does not have fins and scales. Why don't the churches obey this here? And in the same chapter, tithing is in the Bible. Yesterday, a lady sent it to me. Professor Aquio, a word for you. Malachi 3:10. I can't believe it. The first thing ego said in my head was, do you know who you're talking to? No need, right? No. I'll leave her be. I just sent the link to the class. They didn't understand anything. It's in the Bible here, Deuteronomy 14, the chapter on tithing. But why does no one use it? Deuteronomy 14, the true tithing? It's not Malachi. Read Malachi 3. It has nothing to do with it. There it's the prophet Malachi, reconstruction of the second temple. Why don't they use it? Because here you'll see, here it explains everything. But why don't they take the whole context? Look here, your church can't eat catfish. Do you want to obey the Old Testament? You can't eat catfish. You can't eat shrimp. But there's the pastor eating lobster, crawfish, shrimp. Oh, good stuff. Glory to God. But you can't. Do you want to obey the Old Testament? You can't. Then they say, I don't drink wine or beer. My body is the temple of the Holy Spirit of God. But they eat shrimp. But they eat sushi, which you can't. Eat all creatures of the air, except the vulture eagle, the sea eagle, the kite, any kind of falcon, any kind of raven, most types of owls, the vulture, the fishing owl, the stork, any type of heron. Where is the entire text here? There. Stork and the bat. Look there. All the small creatures that swarm and have wings are impure for you. But any creature with wings is impure for you. But any creature with wings being pure you may eat. You can look at this and say, Professor, there is a spirit within us that hates China, that wants to win the Chinese over to the Lord Jesus. but hates because they stick with this, which is unclean. Look at the size of the hypocrisy. Believers from England, the United States, and Brazil say that China spread COVID around the entire world and killed so many people that it's responsible for all the pandemics that exist, and Africa too, because they go there and eat what? These animals, which are impure. Oh, really? But you also eat impure animals. Look at the size of the foolishness. Do you remember the time of the pandemic? The hatred there was for China. Do not eat anything you find dead. You may give it to a foreigner residing in any of your cities, and he may eat it, or you may sell it to other foreigners. But you who have exclusive contact with me, no. I mean, look at this here. See, this here. Reveal. Pagans can, but you cannot. So, it's not a matter of dogmatic impurity, gentlemen, because the Creator loves everyone, but it's a matter of contract. A contractual issue of exclusivity. If he said, if you find a tourist who is not one of you, give it to him to eat. Or you could even sell it to other nations. In other words, is God's problem with the animal? Is it the animal that is impure? Because if it is, you see the limited understanding of people. Looking at it this way, it gives the impression that if you ate that animal, you are possessed by evil. Evil possesses you immediately after you ate that animal, but it's not like that. But if the place is too far, if you cannot carry the tithe there, exchange it. Shall we return to the topic of the tithe? Exchange it. The tithe for silver, with the silver, buy cattle, sheep, wine, or any other fermented drink, or anything else you desire. Anything else you desire. He gives the advice here, cattle, sheep, wine, but anything else you desire. Then, with your families, have a tithe feast and rejoice eating before Elohim, for the love of God. It's beautiful, isn't it? And what does it have to do with the churches? Why does the pastor, every time a family member of yours comes with Malachi 3:10, he says, oh, it's Deuteronomy 14. No, if you want. All with all. We fight broken board with broken board. How did Jesus face his devil? Mentally? Sex, Azazel, they're in the desert? Bible against Bible. The biblical devil would come and say, it is written, Psalm 23, Psalm 90, Psalm 91. And Jesus would reply, it is also written. The workers of the people must be fed from the tithes, for they set aside this abundance of grains, animals, wine, 10% of all the land's production, and, as already taught, they cannot have real estate or material goods, nor their own inheritances. Shall we understand this here? Reveal. Every delta years. 3 years. Bring all the tithes of the harvest of the 3rd year and store them in your own city. And these tithes will be for the pagans who are visiting you, for the orphans and for the... Who is the tithe for? These here. This part of the tithe is for whom? So it means that every 3 years, the tithe will not be for the Levite. It will not be for building a tabernacle, a new branch. No, it's not. No. What is the goal every 3 years? It's to support tourists, foreigners, people who are passing through, who came from another country to live with you, to try life with you, or because a foreigner is in a relationship with a Jewish woman, a Hebrew, those kinds of things. The less privileged social part, supported by this money raised every 3 years. You can understand it as social security. I mean, it's something like, oh, it's a matter of absolute indignation. How I wish a priest, an archbishop, a pastor president, a gospel singer were watching me now to tear their clothes and say, Professor, I'm writing to you. I'm here. I'm going live. I'm going to change everything. How I wish a famous person were watching this class 54 to bring 1 million people with them to understanding. How do I want that? And that day will come. Why? Because look at the level of indignation. Send this video here to Alo. Send this video here to that singer, Kleber Lucas. Send it to Saxa, to Sasha. To her husband, people who are already waking up. Send it to Kaka. I'm serious. Send this class to them. Yesterday's class was already liberating, and so is this one. Why am I saying this? Because the indignation, the original scriptures, are talking about incest, talking about the national treasury, talking about the Ministry of Finance, talking about the federal revenue. And what have they turned it into, my God? Into denominational ecclesiastical tithing, a biblical commandment for salvation. You will soon see that we are going to enter into social hygiene, which they have turned into ritualistic purification for worship. It's hygiene. Isn't it sad? To pervert things. In other words, the poor who do not have health to work, lacking peace, or husbands to support them, and those who have no means to work have no income. May they eat until they are satisfied, until they are full, and thus all the work of their hands will be for good. It will be for good. Which is the meaning of bless. What is the meaning of bless? To do good. Isn't that right? I will put the text on your screen again. Is it corrected? These texts you are seeing here are going to the 4th edition of the Bible and to the pocket Bibles and the online Bible. So here it is. Who is this money for? Shall we go? Poor people who do not have the health to work, lacking parents or husbands to support them. And those who have no means to work and have no income. Look at this, folks. Isn't it clear? Reveal. Many of these laws are not from the Bible of Moses, but adulterated, added to, or expanded with synonyms of violent expressions, which does not exclude, of course, that the Creator is dual. In fact, it proves the duality of the Creator, different from the purely good that the religious system preaches. This law, for example, that I just read, is the law of Talion, which came from the Epic of Gilgamesh, especially the Babylonian Code of Hammurabi, dated 1770 BC, a little before Moses. What comes before is original. Moses came later, 1500, which came at least 270 years before Moses. There were 282 articles regarding labor relations, family, property, and crimes of slavery. Among them, the law of Talion. It is from the Code of Hammurabi that the terrible law emerged. If two men are fighting, and the wife of one of them, I will put the text in full on the screen for you to see. Here, look. If two men are fighting, and the wife of one of them comes to rescue her husband by grabbing his genitals, cut off her hand. I mean, the law, Hebrew, is inspired in parts by others, just as John inspired his apocalypse in part from others. And then what happens? Someone comes and says, Professor, teach 72 empires. This Aquio is a syncretic. Religious syncretism. What? If the Torah itself, look at God's trap, is inspired in parts by the code of Abu and God did not prevent this. He allowed it. He allowed it. What? Shall we talk about Sodom? Genesis 19:34. After fleeing Sodom, Lot's daughters disguised themselves as prostitutes, got their father drunk with wine, and had sexual relations with him in order to preserve their wives. In fact, this is the true Sodom. Which Sodom, Professor? Consciential Sodom. Manifested when a person leaves a place, but the behavior doesn't leave them. I mean, did they leave Sodom or not? Did Lot's daughters leave Sodom or not? Did God take them out or not? Weren't they spared because of their father? But did the bad cultural influence of the place remain inside? They left the system, but the system didn't leave them. The system was inside Lot's daughters. What did Lot's daughters do? Sexual relations with their drunk father. Despite fleeing from a place where drinking, doing drugs, having relations with family members, visitors, animals, and children was normal, they engaged in the same perverse attitude, even outside of there. Do you see? Other passages are clearly added, reflecting the machismo that prevailed among the legalistic Bibles at the time. In the book of Judges 19:24, it is recorded when some ruffians of the city were entertained and surrounded the house. Banging on the door, they shouted to the elderly man, the owner of the house, "Bring out the man who entered your house, so that we may have relations with him." The owner of the house went out and said to them, "Do not be so wicked, my friends, since this man is my guest. Do not commit this folly. Look, here is my daughter, a virgin, and my guest's concubine, and I will bring them out to you. And you can use them and do with them as you please. But do nothing to this man. Do not commit such folly." But the men would not listen to him. Then the Levite set his concubine outside, and they violated and abused her all night long. At dawn, they left her. This is in your Bible. Judges 19:22-25. Have you ever seen any kind of sermon on this part of the Bible? Hermeneutics? Exegesis? Have you ever seen any pastor or priest preach this text? No one is going to preach it, right? If they could, they would tear it out. See? Look. How lamentable. The Levite sent his concubine outside, and they voluntarily abused her all night long. In the morning, she is found dead on the doorstep. I mean, what insensitivity. Back then, houses didn't have, like today, air conditioning to muffle the sound. Back then, houses didn't have window acoustics. I mean, you could hear the noise from outside much more than today. And even with the girl screaming and the sounds of abuse, they did nothing. The girl was found dead on the doorstep in the morning. Do you know how the Levite showed his grief? The Levite took the corpse home, cut it up. He decapitated the body into 12 pieces and sent them. Let me fix this. The Levite takes the corpse home, cuts it up. Cut it up. I'll have to change the verb. The Levite took the corpse home, cut the body into 12 pieces, and sent them. Those to the entire territory of Israel. Judges 19, verse 29. Just kidding, folks. They reveal these are criminal texts that should be removed by decent people. But even so, they are part of the canon of the Holy Bible, and the hypocrites and criminal hypocrites leave them there. Because it is, after all, what they think and what they think. The that they are corrected. There are more laws from the Code of Hammurabi that were copied into the Bible as divine laws. If a man meets a young woman who is not pledged to be married and rapes her, and they are discovered, he will pay the girl's father 50 pieces of silver, and he must marry the girl, for he has violated her. He can never divorce her. In other words, it's Israel taking inspiration from the Babylonian constitution. Do you see that all this is God's permission to destroy the religious ego? We are exclusive and different, chosen by God before the foundation of the world. No. Remember Paul? In the letters, hitting their ego and saying, Abraham was a pagan. Abraham was a pagan. And why did God do this? Trap. Ego trap. So that no one beats their chest. Look at another ego trap. To us, the Constitution was revealed. To you who relied on the legal revelation given, there are other nations that came before. See? If there is a virgin betrothed to a man, and the man actually found her in the city and lay with her, then you must take both of them out to the gate of that city. You must stone them to death. And they must die, the girl for not having cried out to prove the abuse, except if she is in the field, in a rural area, and has no way to call for help. And the man for humiliating the probable future wife of his neighbor. Where is this in the Bible? Deuteronomy 22, 23 to 27. I mean, look at the absurdity. Imagine how much this opened up for relativity and manipulation. Did you understand this here, or do I have to put it again? Look here, a virgin betrothed to a man. And the man actually found her in the city and lay with her. So, look, just the situation. I mean, if it's not confirmed because she didn't cry out. Except if she is in the field and there's no way to call for help. I mean, imagine back then, if in Jesus' days you were debating whether a woman was an animal or a human being, whether a woman had a soul or not, if in Jesus' days women were already at that social point, imagine. 1500 BC. Imagine a law like this in practice. Huh? Reveal. Throughout the Old Testament, God, the Almighty, ordered the killing or killed exactly 2,270,364 people. That's what theology counted. While the devil killed 10 men. If you take into account the historians' data on the transition of the Nubian desert, then this number increases to at least 33 million people that God killed. Why bring up these things? Mercy. Who is still a believer watching me? First, second, third time, because these things are liberating for you to stop being deceived, to understand the essence of the scriptures, the truth, and coherence. Stop quoting the Bible, this holy Bible, from this wrong understanding. See? So, look, just that. We mention all this, which are hard truths to hear, but liberating. We conclude here with lesson number 54. In lesson 55, we continue with the original reading. Then come the poetic books, then the prophets, then the extra-biblical texts. There's not much left. 1260 are from the sent emissaries, because Paul is saying the following. When the Lamb unsealed, there's no rapture here. Here we have Mars.